How bullish should we be when it comes to wheat, canola, even some of these other markets? Trent Klarenbach looks at markets with a different lens than myself. He's a technical trader, technical analyst with Klarenbach Research. He joins me here in episode 126 to give us an update on where these markets could be heading. Here we go, episode 126 coming at you right now.
Hey folks, welcome to the What the Futures podcast, your quick guide to better farming decisions.
Alrighty folks, welcome into episode 126 of the What the Futures podcast. Of course, my name is Ryan, and it's great to be here, of course, recording Wednesday evening in the UPL studio. And I'm seeing, especially in the Lunchbox Crew chat, but even on social media as well, you know, lots of chatter around spray season. It's gonna be one of those spray seasons, one of those challenging ones. If it's not wet conditions, it's wind. So if you're looking to maybe clean things up a little bit, looking at some products that can help you catch up, maybe get ahead of how clean your fields are looking, check out Battalium from UPL and Everest 3.0. Would be another product there for you to check out as well. It's a messy one out there, folks. These two products can help clean that up. Also, kudos to UPL. It was the SJHL hockey draft this week, and UPL, a proud presenting sponsor of that event. And the cool thing is, each and every year, some great farm kids get drafted into the SJHL and get to take that next step in their hockey careers. So kudos to UPL and congratulations to all the kids there that got drafted into the SJHL. Larange, I believe, had the first pick in this year's draft. And hey, if you have a farm kid that got drafted, I want to know, man. I'd love to hear that story, all right? Because it's quite the accomplishment. Yeah, good on you. Of course, you can stay up to date on all things What the Futures by subscribing to the YouTube channel or on your favorite podcast platform. Looking to get... what did I say, 1,500? Yeah, 1,500 followers on YouTube. So go help me out. I think we're at 1,460 and change there. If that's not your thing, you can head to ryandenis.ca and sign up for the Friday emails. A little bit of advice mixed in with some silly memes from time to time. Now, I want to start this episode in a little bit more of a serious tone here because there has been some devastating weather events this past week. And, you know, some farms out there are really going through it right now. And it's starting to compound as well. Not everyone was able to get the crop planted. We pretty much all started late, but not everyone could get it done. And then the folks that did get it done worked so hard, put in those big days, put in all those inputs, all that money, effort, time, maybe facing some challenging conditions here as we get towards the tail end of this week. We've seen tremendous moisture events in parts of Alberta. We've seen tremendous moisture events in eastern Saskatchewan, western Manitoba, excessive moisture, hail, basically anything and everything. It's the speed on which this stuff is coming down. This started months ago. You know, farms facing, you know, tremendous weather conditions in April as well, or at the end of April, big snows, big rains, lots of moisture. It's just been relentless. All right. And so if you could do me a favor, I don't know how to help, but if you could do me a favor, if you could go into your contacts with me right now, I'll give you a second here, but go to create a new contact. And I've labeled it with, it says someone to talk to, or someone to talk with, pardon me. And that's where I'm tucking the phone number here for the Farm Crisis Helpline, which we have talked about many times on the show in the past. This is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week support from people that know farming. If you're having a tough moment, if someone in your life is having a tough moment, a neighbor, we all know the feeling of relief that you get when you can talk about it with somebody, you know, when you can share with another person, especially someone that is versed in this stuff. in moments of stress and crisis. And so you can label it what you want. You could label it Farm Crisis Helpline. You could label it like I have someone to talk with. You could call it the CCAW. The important thing here is the phone number. It's 1-866-327-6701. Again, that's 1-866-327-6701. 1-866-FARMS-01. That is the Farm Crisis Helpline. Again, save it in your phone, and you don't have to pry. You don't have to, go and ask many questions or be invasive to your neighbors. But it might just be as easy as saying, hey, I found this resource. I don't know if this is any help to you or whatever, but I want to pass it along. That's it, right? That's it. You don't have to go into greater detail. I can tell you from my experience with mental health challenges, when I was going through it with the loss that we suffered in our family with our daughter, I was just so relieved when someone would ask me the second question. You'd often get, how are you doing type of thing, and be, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. And then they would ask a follow-up question and maybe another one after that, and start to pry some of that conversation out of me. And that's where I felt that relief and that release, and that certainly helped me. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it certainly helped me, talking it out and chatting with some support folks. So again, folks, save this as a contact in your phone 24/7, share it with your network of people, and check in on your neighbors. A farmyard, I think about the pride. I've been fortunate. I've driven in a lot of farmyards in my farming career, and they're impeccable. There's a lot of pride in a farmyard, and it does not happen overnight. It takes years and generations and so much effort. And in one moment, in one evening, that can change, right? And so it's tough. Yeah. Crops were planted. All the groceries were put in. There was no holding back. And that may have changed for some of you out there. So we sympathize with you guys. We're here. Even me, if you want to send me a note, like Ryan@whatthefuturespodcast.ca, even if you just want to say, hey, I'm really happy to just connect and, send a message back. It doesn't have to be a whole thing. It could just be, hey, how's it going? And I'd love to chat. So, take care of your communities here in these times. And we don't know what's coming for weather, but we're certainly in a pattern here where when it happens fast and quick. And there's a lot of this right now. All right. Now, of course, I still want to go through some positive moments here for this week, because the show does go out on Positive Fridays. And even when we're having, tough moments, it's really important to kind of, seek out the positivity. And I saw one, post on X just saying, it was a picture, airplane overhead shot, flooding everywhere, on the crops, but they had a dry basement, and just the relief that their basement was dry, because many others have, water in the basement. So it's important to look for those positive moments. For me this week, of course, Willa had her dance recital this past Saturday, and she absolutely crushed it. Auditoriums packed full of people. I think there's 500 people in that auditorium, something like that. And she goes on stage. She's the smallest, the youngest in her group, and she goes on stage with her big voice and just crushes it. Hard Knock Life by Annie. They did a great job. I didn't realize, maybe I'm doing this wrong, but am I supposed to cry at these events? I thought I was supposed to just be, really happy and excited, but I had tears rolling down my cheeks. I had so much pride of my little one being on stage. Maybe it's just me. Yeah, she had a lot of fun up there and did amazing. And it was great to be a part of, great to see her excel and have fun. Second thing, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on as well, but old Hollywood, he was teaching me a lesson here, I guess, in farm business, because my dad outbid me on a couple of items this week. I brought him into the auction. I brought him into the fold. This wasn't even on his radar. And I showed him what was available here at this sale. And then before I had a chance to meet up with him on well, we talked about it a bit Friday night, but Saturday, I was like going back and forth with this one guy. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? Bidding up this thing. And I'm like, and then my dad finally says, hey, we should compare lot numbers. Make sure we're not bidding against each other. Yep, old Hollywood, old Rooster. He got the best of me because I never did get a chance to get those items back. But it was pretty fun. And I have to go do all the hard work now. I have to go pick the stuff up. I have to go pull the trailer tomorrow and go pick up the tractor and all this other stuff. So I'm doing all the work. And yet he's outbidding me and teaching me a lesson. And then lastly, I know it's been devastating moisture events across the prairies, but you know, there also has been, and people are pretty quiet about this, but you know, some areas are very thankful that they did receive some rain, like our farm. I know it sounds nuts, guys, because we couldn't start planting until May 19th, but we haven't had a drop of rain or moisture since. And we did get a rain this week. And I know it's maybe taboo to talk about it, but we are thankful. We're thankful on the amount we got, how we received it, and where the crops are at. All right. Okay. A song of the week. Of course, you can find this on YouTube Music. I'm going to go with some John Fogerty this week. Old Man, the old man down the road, has been playing quite a bit for me here lately. And that's a great one. All right. So you can check that out. What the Futures hashtag plant 26 for that playlist. A cup of coffee. I had Nathan on, Farmer Nathan from Unity, Saskatchewan. He joined me, him and his little black book. You can check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. But just a couple of reminders here when it comes to marketing. You know, if you can write down some of the reasoning when you're making decisions, it can help a little bit as you move forward in your crop marketing plan. All right. We all sold some canola, you know, at these lower values. Well, maybe not all, but most of us did. And just a reminder on why we did it and how to move forward. Okay. We also had some positivity here. Good feedback. Actually, I got good feedback this past week. We did the strategy room, which was you had to register, and those that registered could participate live or receive the recording. So we did the strategy room, had some really good feedback on that. So we're going to do another one of those on July 6th. You can register. That's a Monday, ryandenis.ca. I'm still firming up my guess for that one, but it was me, 4 analysts, and we just hashed it out markets wise. So some really good tidbits came out of that one. And, yeah, I did send that out, to folks that couldn't make it, but did register. So it's farmers only. There's 100 spots, and you can go in and check that out. All right. What else did I want to talk about quick before I go into kind of the latest here? I got messages I don't know if it's just the topics, but the last week or so, you know, talking about diesel prices. I was getting text messages from farms. I was like, who is this, by the way? Who are you guys? Asking about diesel. I got emails. I got messages on social media, like lots of chatter about this. So I thought that was really cool to see. And then also, if you messaged me about, you know, the honesty of selling $14 canola, there was some, I guess, just some relief around it that a few of us had done this. And so I got quite a few messages on that as well. So I do certainly appreciate, and I do see them all, and I try to respond to as many as possible. Okay. So keep them coming, guys. I fire away. Happy to keep chatting here about markets and all things farm business. All right. I got a couple things here on my mind for crop marketing for this week. And then we'll get into the interview with Trent Klarenbach. And then after that, I have Tyler Yaremchuk to get us caught up on all things NHL and even a little baseball talk as well. But I want to put this out there as just kind of like a reminder. And so I got a message from a client today, and it was, okay, Ryan, we're done planting here. The crop's in the ground. Let's reduce our acres. It says 12%. So let's go and reduce, you know, crops by a certain number. So we went and did that because those unseeded acres, those turn into a 0 on the yield side, right? They don't turn into a 5 or a 10 or a 50. It's a 0. So we wanted to adjust that. Also making some yield adjustments as well. Again, I don't think anybody out there is going to look at a crop on June 10th and say, you know what, that thing we penciled in 70, but I think with everything going on right now, it's going to be 62. Like, I don't think anyone's doing that. But we are making some adjustments if we feel that we're in a situation where our budgeted yield is being impacted by the conditions around us. We are adjusting that number up or down. I say up or down because I don't think anyone's even bumping it up at this time either. It sounds kind of crazy, but there are some farms that are status quo, many farms status quo, and then some farms, it could be a barley crop that's yellowing off. It could be an acre that was under some water for a period of time where you think, yeah, maybe there won't be anything there, or it could be less. Maybe it was too much water too fast and you're uncertain. But just making those yield adjustments, because at the end of the day, it's going to spit out a big dollar number, that has changed from where you started the plan. It might be raised on some crop prices, might be lowered on some unseeded acres or some changes to yield. But make those adjustments now and keep that top of mind and active throughout the growing season. Okay. From there, I like to review contracts and percent sold. The thing about the situation, like if you are in a situation where, let's just say from an extreme side, you've contracted some grain, you've had an extreme weather event, and you now are faced with a contract cancellation or a buyout or something like that. If you're reviewing your acres and your yield and your contracts and your percent sold, and you feel that you have some exposure that could potentially lead to a buyout, what happened in the past, in 2021 specifically, is that if you had records that went back, so let's say, for example, it's wheat. You got going on wheat, you got really excited about the wheat markets, you got aggressive, and now you're maybe subject to a contract cancellation. I say cancellation because there's not a guarantee that it's a buyout, right? I think you guys know that. Like, it could be a situation where it's a cancellation and then you get the check for the difference. You sold $9 wheat. It's now $7.50. They owe you $1.50, right? Now, it doesn't always work like that, but it has at times in the past. And of course, you're going to phone a neighbor and say, hey, I got this contract. Like, what do you think? But having the first conversations recorded was really important in 2021. And I'm not saying this is not 2021. I'm just saying events happened that impacted production, that caused contract cancellations or buyouts. And at that time, the market rallied and moved against us. Being able to go back to say, we made contact on this date, June 10th. I told you that I was in an airplane. My land was all flooded. I was trying to figure out my best case scenario here. And I told you I had exposure. What happened in 2021 is the responses that we could go back and reference were, at times some buyers said, you know what, don't worry about it. Let's let this sit for a couple of weeks and come back to it. We'll take care of you. And that was a big one. We'll take care of you. That meant different things at different times. But being able to go back to that and reference that because it's in writing was important. It did save some farmers some significant dollars. It's not that you're looking to exit this contract on June 10th. Like, there's the entire prairies around you. It's hard to look past your kitchen window, but the prairies are around you. How are things progressing here? How are things progressing globally? What's going on in the US? It's not always about having to buy something out right here, right now, but it's starting to open up the possibilities of what could be available to me. Like, can I take this contract and roll it to the next crop year? Do I have to buy it out? Are you going to waive admin fees? What are admin fees? What is the current price that you are buying grain at, as comparison to my contract? Like, it's just starting to build that dialogue and that conversation to kind of protect yourself a little bit in the future. Now, like I said, I'm not calling this 2021. I'm just saying that, inform the folks. Once you know something, inform the next folks that have exposure, and just keep that conversation going. Again, isolated events, smaller scale events. And what I mean by smaller scale is one part of the prairies being impacted, but not another part. It may not move the market, right? It may not rally the market like you think or like you want it to. And so I'm not saying you're subject to potential buyouts. I'm just saying communication can start now, and it may help you down the road. Our guest today, Trent, he's painting a bit more of a bearish picture short term for some grains and oil seeds potentially. So, again, it's just part of a conversation. And then also, your lenders, your partners, just having that latest projection for them. It certainly can help. All right. Next thing I had here is it's just this, just with weather for one more second. But, I was listening to a podcast a couple weeks ago. Dane shared it with me, and I listened to this show religiously. I listened to this podcast religiously. It's the All In podcast. I really like what they cover. And so it's a usually hour and a half long. And I listened to it religiously, but I didn't listen to this episode. I don't know if I was busy with the kids or I don't know what happened. I didn't listen to it. And Dane sent it to me. And, these guys have, I would argue, very little to do with agriculture or nothing to do with agriculture for the most part. One guy on there has a bit of ag stuff, but anyways, but he brought up the the Super El Niño. And, what would happen is areas are going to receive extreme drought conditions. And, maybe it's the Southern Hemisphere, maybe it's Australia, maybe it's India, maybe it's South America. We'll see. But lots of drought and then lots of rain. Atmospheric rivers, massive rain events. And we are obviously sitting here in the Canadian prairies, stuck, in this atmospheric river system, whatever this is. I don't know what needs to shift or change or shuffle for this to kind of go away, but we've been in this for some time now. And it's a year of extremes, and that's certainly what we're seeing now. We're going to cover weather next week on the show with Brett Waltz from BAM Weather. So we will dive into a bit more next week for what it's worth. But yeah, with everything going on, I just found it interesting. And, even outside our door today, we can't keep anything dry. And I think we've had 3 hail events now. And at our place here, it just keeps coming in waves, big waves of rain. And a couple more things here. I want to just shed some light on the fertilizer correction of around $500 a ton. So summer fill is often traditionally the best time, statistically the best time to buy your fertilizer. Last year we saw a good buying opportunity, when you review the year at the very start. And then we got a couple chances at it again in late November and early December. So it wasn't as beneficial to do the summer fill program last year, but it was beneficial when the calendar turned to 2026, the war in the Middle East, and prices, did what they did, just craziness. I did send a tweet out here to Josh Linville. I don't think he's had time to respond yet, but I really want to know if there's anybody that listens to the show that can come on and have this conversation with me. Like, just explain the summer reset, like how this works. Because from what I can see for urea, we have a price drop of $500 a ton from last week. And this has been verified by a couple of different folks. The price, let's call it from $12.50 to $7.50 could be 1,300 to 800. Both prices were there basically at the same time because people are still seeding, right? Like there's a drill rolling just down the road here today. I had a client that finished seeding yesterday. Like it's still happening. And yet when that truck shows up to get fertilizer, that's at $1,250. Take it home now. But also, if you're part of the summer fill program, that's now $750 a ton. Take it home now. So I just need a little bit of clarity because both are take product home now. Both are available. Both are, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know. I struggle with it a little bit. Like if you told me, hey, yeah, you can buy this for $750, but I can't get it to you for 6 weeks. Then I could say, all right, I understand that. I can understand that. Some separation here between planting and buying this stuff. Like I could get it. I could get on board with that. But when you tell me you got to take it now, I really struggle. And I know you're not taking a write down as a retail. I think, and I'll get James on the show here too, but I just want to know what's the justification. Like, what's the justification for the $1,250 a ton stuff? Because from what I can tell, there were definitely hiccups with NH3 and availability at peak times. Hearing the odd story where people couldn't get any extra, so things must have been tight there. But then days later, they can get it for $750. So someone either explain it to me like I'm 5 or let me know how this works, because this does give a little bit of a black eye to the industry here a little bit. Like we get told the storylines of why prices are going up. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy to see a price correction, but I'm just really, I think the whole chain, the whole fertilizer experience here from on the buy side, like this is the stuff. Retail will put up their hands and say, whoa, like we do our best and we get you the stuff and all. Yes, you do. You're amazing. You do. But it's the stuff like this that really stinks. It really stinks. I know it sounds crazy. I almost feel like it would be better to keep the price at $1,250 for another week or two and then drop it. I probably wouldn't, stew on it as much. But it's just really, really, I think you lose credibility. You just lose, and I know we're hostage. Farmers are hostage to this situation. You don't have a choice. It's not like you could sit here and say, well, I'm holding out because I know it's going from $1,250 to $750 and I'm going to go and spread that fertilizer on after it's planted. Like, I know you're not doing that, but maybe you are. Maybe you could. I don't know. It's really weird to me. So I'll see if Josh can explain it to me. I'll talk to James as well. Am I wrong here? Like, am I completely out to lunch? Does this stink for anybody else? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just cranky, but there we go. All right, last one here before we move on to Trent. I want to talk about the relief rally. Talked about it a little bit on the show Tuesday on Cup of Coffee. But a relief rally is a temporary upward movement during a broader downward market trend. The relief rally is the most important part of your marketing plan. And the reason I say that is the relief rally is the chance for you to reward the market as close to the high as possible. Now, we don't know if this is a relief rally because we don't know if $802 was the peak. Like, if the market just cruises above 802, then this is, scratch this out of your mind. This was not a relief rally at all. I don't know. There's other fancier terms to use, and we'll figure those out in the future. If it rallies above, it hasn't happened. If it goes and rallies for a little bit and then goes and makes a lower price here, goes and finds a 750, 740, 720, then, that would justify the term relief rally. And so the reason I say this one is important because this is the one that people miss. So we don't know. Well, I don't know. I should say I don't know. Other people probably know. I don't know when the high of the market's going to be. So when I get that first pullback, that bad couple days, it's rough. You sit there, shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever, emotional. You often get this little pop. The market settles down, finds a bit of support, and it pops up. And it's the important one because it's the second chance. You get a second chance. You're not going to hit the high, but you get a second chance. You go back to 2022. Like 2022, we hit a peak, we pulled back, and then we had weeks and weeks, like 7 weeks or 5 weeks where we could sell, not at the top, but right below it. And then it just cratered after that. I'm not saying that 2026 is 2022. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is often the highs are scored during this time of the year. And maybe there's enough stuff going on. Maybe the unseeded acre, the excessive moisture, maybe that, causes more strength to happen here. Maybe this isn't the relief rally. Maybe it's coming. Another high gets scored and then a sell-off. But this is the important one because you have, in some cases, days, in other cases, weeks to sell or hedge towards the high of the market. And this is when I bang the drum on the farm and be as loud as I can to say, okay, guys, this is it. How are we feeling? Do we want to cover ourselves any more here? Do we want to protect anything else? Because if this is a relief rally, we're going lower in the very near future. And we'll be thankful that we have all of this hedged. Okay. So this is for you guys. This is for you. You've got a relief rally going on in canola right now. Unfortunately, we didn't find the relief rally in wheat. We are finding a little bit of support right now, but certainly, actually, let me rephrase that because if you have a moment, pull up the Minneapolis wheat chart, December wheat chart. We score a high 769, May 12th. I made a recommendation May, I think 13th or 14th, one of those 2 days. I think I could actually just look it up here, but I made a recommendation to sell some physical stuff. Wish I would have done more. May 14th is the day I made a recommendation. I've got another side bar as well after, but anyways, pull up that chart. So you have the top, then you have the start of the decline, and then you go and you touch 720. So 769 on the 12th, and on the 15th, we're down to 719. So what is that, 40 cents, 50 cents? From there, we recover to 752 on the 19th. That was your relief rally right there. You basically had a day at the 750 level and a couple days at 740. That was the sweet spot. That was the sweet spot with the relief rally. And now you know where it's at, 668 as of recording. So it's obviously it's tricky. I don't have a crystal ball, blah, blah, blah. But these relief rallies are important. And so there you go. It just happened in wheat. It may be setting up here in canola. Time will tell. Very important time for you to spend on your crop marketing here for the 26 crop. All right, folks, I've rambled on a lot. So thank you for your patience. Now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this episode. Let's bring in my pal, Trent Klarenbach with Klarenbach Research. All right, folks, let's welcome back Trent Klarenbach to the What the Futures podcast. Trent, how's your day going? How's your week going?
I'm going great. Going great. Is it Tuesday? Wednesday?
It is Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right, Trent, you guys are busy over at Klarenbach Research. You've got some new content coming out from the Spread Trader. Can you just give the listeners a little update on some of your projects and some of the things that you have on the go?
Well, yeah, there's been just number of opportunities, people reaching out, wanting to collaborate on different projects. Brent Futz and I started the Spread Trader newsletter, and Brent's got like 40 years of experience in the markets, trading spreads, and when they call commodity exchange. He's got some real insight into the mechanisms of how spread trading works. It's been a great experience for me, Ryan, because I just dismiss spread trading as some sort of go long, go short, paradoxical idea, and I just didn't understand it, and I didn't have the bandwidth to learn about it. So it's been a great experience for me. The content he's providing is excellent. I'm excited about it. So
yeah, and with some pretty good regularity, like some consistency coming through. Like, is that part of just when things are kind of standing out in the spreads that he'll put something out, or is that something that subscribers can look for kind of weekly or semi-weekly?
Yeah, we're hoping one or two a week as they present themselves. Brent's been heavy on the educational component of it in the first several publications, just because guys like me don't really understand them. The markets are difficult enough, but then the spread trading is it's another level up, I would say, than just looking at direction of one contract at a time. So
yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, I am also, it's Greek to me as well. So I have certainly, next time you chat with them, let them know I read the emails 3 times just to make sure I'm grasping something. I'm just like, okay, read it once. I'm like, all right, let that sit for a bit, go back to it. And, really, really good stuff. Really intriguing. So that's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah. He's very intelligent and at a high level. So it's great. Glad you enjoy it.
So you also had a podcast episode here not long ago. You had some heavy hitters when it came to, like the food space or the food industry. Can you just I want to just talk about it for a second before we chat about commodity super cycles here, but what did you guys uncover? Because that was about, was it security? Right? Or weaponizing war?
Well, basically the title is weaponization of food. So, really, just from our experience in Canada, the Canadian Wheat Board was made mandatory for exports in World War II as a War Measures Act to feed the Allies. Okay. That's where that started. Continued in place for 70 years. I would argue that put, war its usefulness shortly after World War II. Okay. And of course, the internet came along, information age, and it really, I would say, put a hamstring on growth in agriculture and was responsible for a lot of farmers leaving the industry. So there's a lot of, it's on my radar. I'm aware, or I have the opinion that if we enter into a global conflict, Ryan, like a hot conflict, which we might be in World War III already, according to some, right? Then countries will really put export restrictions on their resources, reserve them for allies, use them for political purposes. I think the Canadian Wheat Board used our grain for political diplomacy and international relations. I think. Oh, okay. I honestly believe that because it would make sense. That's what I would do. So then, with that topic, we brought on Dr. Christian Leuprecht, who is one of Canada's foremost security experts, talking about what that means with allies and going forward. Brought on Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, the food professor. Everybody knows who he is. Yep. He's talking about the impacts on, domestic supplies and just what that means if we start. There's government-run grocery stores and different things like that. Jerry Ritz, of course, he was the ag minister during Stephen Harper's when he was in prime minister, part of his cabinet. Yep. And he was responsible for dismantling the wheat board monopoly. So Jerry offers some really high-level experience there, strong perspectives. Yep. And then Jason Dearborn was on, and he's in the blockchain space, and he's got a product called the GrainX token. And he's a firm believer that there's a lot of data that farmers produce. And has strong convictions that farmers should own that data and control that data. Mm-hmm. And that data can be, from your agronomic practices, or it could be even, you can actually measure the carbon that you produced based on the amount of grain that you sold. So he's a firm believer in that. And he thinks that farmers in Canada are at risk of losing their control over their asset classes and maybe ultimately the farmland. So covered quite a bit of topics there in an hour. So in a high level. I had to listen to it a few times too. So.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I saw that one come across and with some heavy hitters on there, and interesting. So people can check that out on YouTube or wherever they get their podcasts.
Yes. Yeah. It's on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. So.
And was there anything that you pulled out of there after that hour that just really kind of stood out? Maybe had a spotlight shone on it. Was there something that really?
Well, I guess just highlighted Christian talked about it, how, food, grain and food, it's a way to support your allies. It's a way to gain allies. It's a way to, I guess, improve international relations. You can repress people, suppress people, take away their rights, and still remain as a dictator or a government. But you start starving them, then your government runs into real problems real quickly, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't get into that exactly, but those are some of the ramifications. So he offered the role that food has with allies. And then if we do our commitments with our allies, put some pressure on our ability to control our asset or our food, our grain that we grow. So.
Okay. Would you say that in today's day and age, or in 2026, that, the food space is already being kind of weaponized in certain parts of the world? Like, is that a fair comment?
Oh, well, I mean, there's a history of it, in my opinion. Canada, I think through the Wheat Board, I honestly believe that it was a tool for diplomacy and international relations. United States, I think they just recently canceled it. I don't know for sure, but it was called the PL 480, which shipped special crops and amongst other things around the world as food aid, right? So, you feed people, you feed a country. That's really good for your relations with that country, and there's usually some sort of trade-off in return, right? So, I would say it's been a weapon forever.
All right, fair enough.
Feed us, and we won't attack you.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, cool. Well, I look forward to checking that out here as well, Trent. From there, let's segue to this commodity super cycle, which I think you're going to beat me up on it here in just a second. You put some work out in regards to crude oil. What do you see happening in energy here? What's going on in the energy markets?
Well, I mean, I just see lower prices in the short term for oil. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that does not mean that higher prices aren't in the future, but, just the cyclical nature of the price patterns and commodity prices. I see the chart suggests to me strongly that we're going to see lower prices in crude before higher.
Yep.
The super cycle there's a lot of talk about that. It'd be very early stages if that's happening. As a trend follower, I need confirmation. That confirmation comes in the way of higher highs and higher lows. And maybe the argument could be made on energy, perhaps, but I'm not seeing it on the grains. So,
switching to grains here, I think we need to work in the here and now and, kind of control our destiny here at this time. Canola is obviously doing something special along with bean oil. Everything else seems to be kind of falling apart here. Like, do the charts kind of show something different than what we talked about last year? Like we talked about, we were talking about a wheat rally, but overall not maybe a long-term higher highs, type thing. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, should we be more relaxed in our crop marketing, or should we keep it kind of top of mind and make sure we're executing when we do see a rally and opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned canola. It's the highest price we've seen since August of 23. I mean, arguably any time in the last 3 years, one would be happy to sell at these price levels, or $200 or $150 or $200 a ton less, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the wheat markets are behaving as anticipated. The canola markets exceeded my expectations on the rally of the price. I think a person should be very proactive with pricing now. And if they can, like locking in profits, I mean, what's going to impact your business more? Selling at higher prices for more profit, or selling at lower prices for a loss?
Take the higher prices for 1,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to, the loss will impact your business more than a few more dollars in your jeans.
Yeah.
I would argue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The loss is with the way things have set up from the last couple of years and where we're at now. Like, we can't afford to fumble on the canola side of the farm here. Like, you really need to do a good job of that, because it's covering up some issues in other areas and other crops. So yeah, but the expensive crop to grow in the last number of years here in 2026 being no exception to that. Risks are high, and you need to do your best to control your destiny here, control your outlook for 26. So, yeah.
Well, and if we haven't talked about this recently, or Ryan, but if you look at interest rates and the trajectory that they're going,
mm-hmm.
and one can do simple math of a 1% or 1.5% or 2% increase in interest rates on your operating costs. Profits today might pay for that extra interest down the road, right? So
yeah. All right, Trent. Well, great stuff. For those checking out the show this week, where can they learn more about you? How can they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm of course all over the social media platforms, my YouTube channel, Klarenbach Research, the Trent Klarenbach podcast. I have my newsletters, Klarenbach Grain Report, Klarenbach Special Crops Report. You can see a theme there in the naming conventions. Not very original, but and I'm on klarenbach.ca. Everything's spelled with a Klarenbach. And reach out. I love chatting and I love texting. And
Ag in Motion's just over a month away. Are you hanging out in Langham?
I'll be out there in the Scotiabank tent, I believe. So, yeah.
Perfect. I will definitely come by and say hello while I'm there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, man. Appreciate your time. We'll get you back on real soon.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
Well, I have to admit, Trent caught me off guard a little bit with the CWB stuff, the Canadian Wheat Board, kind of that theme of weaponizing food security. I definitely need to dive into that episode now, because that was some interesting stuff from Trent. Now, of course, I brought Trent on this week because there's been a lot of hype around higher commodity prices, and that may be coming for 2027. But I've also tried to work, really hard to live in the here and now and execute on this year's crop marketing plan, and not just put it to chance or to hope that this commodity super cycle is coming. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can sell stuff and still participate in bullish markets. So I got a little bit of a sobering reminder from Trent on where some of these markets could be headed. Yeah, we'll see. We all want prices to go higher, but yet sometimes the signals are different than what we want. So I do want to give a shout out to show sponsor John Deere. I'm getting excited. Ag in Motion, we are going to record Cup of Coffee from the John Deere booth. Bright and early, 8 a.m., we're going to kick off Ag in Motion with John Deere. And we've got a special little announcement that morning as well. So either I'll see you there in person or you can catch the show live on YouTube. But this will be my first time recording live from the show. And John Deere does it right. They have a podcast booth that they set up. So I'm pretty excited to get there and see what I can pull off with a live show. So yeah, we'll see everybody down at Ag in Motion here in just over a month. Of course, John Deere Operations Center. I can't explain even enough that the relief. Like when your phone's buzzing when you're seeding, and everyone's asking you how much you have done, and by the end of the day, you've answered that question like 30 times, and you're frustrated. Well, I get to avoid that because I get to just look on John Deere Operations Center and see exactly what people are working on the farm and how much they're getting done. And it just saves that little bit of tension there with me bugging my brother all the time. Of course, harvestprofit.com is where we track all our numbers. And here we are. The guys are busy spraying, and I am updating the seeded acres. Click of a button, though, moves right from John Deere Operations Center right into Harvest Profit, and making some yield adjustments as well. So I do appreciate the support from those folks. Now, eating your veggies here for this week, I think the crop assessment, I think that's big. We already talked about it, but it gets you down to a big number. So I want everyone to get that big number this week. Like, do the math with what you've got sold, what you've got coming for acres yield, and just get that big number figured out and see what type of impact that has for your farm. Are you, seeing a nice big number, better potential, and thinking about the future, and maybe you're looking at upgrading equipment or doing something, right? You might be planning for the future, or maybe you're making some negative, revisions and saying, hey, this is what we have coming, reviewing your crop insurance coverage, kind of checking where things could land at the end of the year. I know you don't have time to do that right now, but I still think it's very important. Number 2, we just talked about relief rally. Position yourself for this relief rally. Again, coulda, shoulda, woulda on the wheat side. But here we are with canola. Don't forget about it. You may not sell at the top or hedge at the top, but you could be right there. Okay. And then my last one, if this has been kind of a big topic here, but just missing the wheat rally for old crop. I just want to remind folks and keep it in mind that winter wheat harvest is happening globally now. And so, yes, would we love to be bullish wheat? Sure. But there's a crop now that's being harvested, a new crop. So just keep that in mind. Yes, you've got some negotiating power right now for old crop, new crop, maybe not so much. Maybe we could be a bit bullish on basis, things like that. But yeah, when you're selling wheat, marketing wheat, just remember there's a bigger, a crop that's being harvested now. All right. Okay. I think that's going to be it for eating your veggies. I was chatting with my brother here just before we close the show. I was chatting with my brother just about, seeding and just trying to do a bit of reflection and some learnings. Again, we, our neighbor Mike was kicking our butt on his canola yield. So we jumped in with some Brett Young 7206. And the initial plan, we've been very dedicated to another company in the past. And unfortunately, there were some changes there that just, again, we won't go down that path, but there's some changes that we decided to make this move. And of course, neighbor Mike certainly helped us, along with some of the yields that he was pulling off. But we ended up putting in 3,500 acres of 7206. So we're very, very excited. The crop, like I said earlier in the show, it's coming quick, and just got a little shot of moisture this week as well. So very, very fortunate. And keep you guys updated on our Brett Young journey here, and some excitement around that on our farm for 2026. Now, before we close the show, I do want to bring in Tyler Yaremchuk, and we're going to get caught up on all things NHL. What's going on with Mike Babcock with the Edmonton Oilers, and what is going on with those Toronto Blue Jays. All right, folks, we got Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Every Day joining us here. Tyler, what the heck's going on? You're in Paris, France, or what?
Yeah, sure. If I turn that way, I am. If I turn the other way, you'll see the Bellagio. Behind me, the Bellagio fountains in Las Vegas for the Stanley Cup Final, helping out with the coverage at Daily Faceoff.
Nice. How do you pull that? How do you pull that card? Like, how do you get selected with the entire team? How do you get selected to go and travel to Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. I've been around for a while, so I got some tenure over some other people, and I'm located out west. So, like, we have Johnny Lazarus, who's based in New York, and it was like, hey, way easier for Johnny to do Carolina, way easier for me in the west to just fly in and out of Vegas. So, got the pleasure of being in attendance for games 3 and 4 of the Cup Final, and I don't know what your excitement level was for the Cup Final. Mine was like, I'd say tampered down a little bit, but this has been an unbelievable series.
My excitement level is 0, and I don't even want to get invested now because it has been great hockey and exciting hockey. My father-in-law's been just all over the place with this thing. He's loving it, and I'm like, oh, dude, like maybe I do have to catch up now. But I've just decided to cut grass and stare at the trees instead. So, yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people who were like you, though. To be fair, especially a lot of Oilers fans and Canadian hockey fans who are like, Vegas and Carolina, like that's definitely where I was kind of at. And I also thought this series would be like super low scoring and like boring, grinded out hockey. But every game has featured a multi-goal lead change at some point, and that's the first time in Stanley Cup Final history that's happened through the first 4 games. Like, it's wild.
The other day, it's 4-0 Vegas. My buddy sends me a text. He's like, I can't believe what's going on in this hockey game. And I go and look, it's tied 4-4. And I was like, holy smokes. And then I was the most excited because Bussy got in the game. And of course, I need Bussy in there to get me some points.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of over in the draft. But I had to laugh when he got a couple points for us last night. So we selected the right guy at the right time, but the wrong guy, maybe. I don't know. But yeah.
He's been awesome, though.
I was going to say, Bussy, nice. They got a goalie of the future there, don't they?
They do, and he's a really great story because, like, a super late bloomer. He bounced around a couple of organizations. He was on waivers at one point from Florida, and he kind of found a home in Carolina this year. Played a ton of games for them. Actually started more games on the regular season than Freddie Anderson. And when he was called upon in Game 3, like, he delivered. He didn't make a ton of saves. I think he finished with like 10 or 11, but there were a couple 10-bellers, and like he gave them a chance to win that game in overtime. And honestly, like the thing with Freddie Anderson is weird right now. No one knows if he's healthy or not. No one knows why he's not dressing for Game 4. I think regardless, Brandon Bussy has stolen the crease.
Yeah, I would think so. And now you got a best of 3. Bussy's got a couple a game and a bit now under his belt, handling the pressure, because that was a big game last night. And I think you ride with the hot hand. Are you surprised by the offense that Carolina's putting up?
I am, and I think part of it is Carter Hart's play has taken a little bit of a dip here. Like, this is a guy who, for the last 3 weeks, dating back to the end of round 2, and especially the conference finals, he was red hot for this team, and he's kind of hit the skids. He's allowed 4 goals in every single game, and the other part of this is, like, Carolina plays a super, super tight man-to-man kind of play, which means it can be highly volatile if they're going up against a good team, which they obviously are. So what we're seeing is these collapses on the defensive side for Carolina. But then on the flip side, since Vegas knows that they can kind of expose things like this by being a little bit more aggressive, the counterattack going back the other way, like Carolina's now getting these odd man rushes that usually their system doesn't lend them to creating. So it's been wild. I just think I'm there and I'm credentialed. So I'm talking to the players on Carolina, spoke with Jordan Stahl after the game, and he might be a Conn Smythe Trophy favorite on that Carolina team now. But he kind of said, he's like, we're both really good teams, and what you're seeing is a product of 2 teams who are both capable of taking over the game for long stretches, and the result is life's being made hard on these goalies, and the offense is coming through.
Yeah, Jordan Stahl with a couple of goals again last night, hey? So, yeah, he's making the case for sure. All right, so does goaltending matter, Tyler? Because in Edmonton, we've got a dumpster fire going on a few different levels right now. But, you got a goalie here that's going to win the Stanley Cup. Maybe Bussy comes in, wins the darn thing and, on his shoulders, maybe. But if it's Freddie Anderson or Carter Hart, Like, does goaltending even matter right now?
I think these Stanley Cup finals might be lending you more to the side of you just need a competent goalie and a really good system. And listen, Hart and Anderson have both made some really good saves, but the bottom line is the Stanley Cup winning goalie in this series is going to have a save percentage in all likelihood well below 900 in the Stanley Cup final, and he will be lifting the Stanley Cup. But when you play a really good system in front and you only give up 5 or 6 grade A opportunities in a game, your goalie just needs to make a couple big saves, stop the ones he's supposed to, and it's enough to win the game. So I do think this is showing that you don't need that truly elite, top of the craft kind of goalie to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting times for sure. Interesting times. Okay, so while this is all going on in Vegas, you duck out of town for a couple of days. Hopefully you made some money while you were down there as well. But things are erupting here in Edmonton. We've got Saskatchewan boy Mike Babcock rumored to be the next Oilers coach. And just a lot of weird stuff happening and coming out over this. The fans outraged, part of the media confused maybe on why this is even coming up. Babcock was supposed to be retired. It's fluid and evolving, but what's the latest on Babcock and the Oilers?
So the latest is, and if you remember, he was hired as the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets in 2023 and never coached a game. He was fired. There was this story that he was invading players' privacies in his entry meetings with them and going through their phones. And what we're hearing now in the latest reporting from Frank Saravalli is that there is way more to that story than we were ever led on. And at the time, I think it was kind of a little bit of the NHLPA dug into this, went to Mike Babcock and said, do you want all this coming out and being public, or do you just want to resign? And at the time he said, I'm just going to resign. So flash forward a few years, and I think maybe Mike Babcock thought enough time had passed that he would just be able to fly under the radar and kind of get this job. But the NHLPA is saying, not so fast, Babs. We still have all this other info on you from our investigation. And they've now told the NHL to do an investigation of their own into it. So the latest, today, Dreger tweeted that if Babcock were to remove himself from the search, the investigation would end. My gut right now tells me that this is where this is going. If Babcock didn't want this public 3 years ago, I don't think he's going to want this investigation public now. He's made enough money in his career. He's 60 years old. He's been retired for a number of seasons. I just think Babcock doesn't want this public, and I think this might get to a point where either the NHL blocks it or the Oilers just do kind of what Columbus did back 3 years ago and say, okay, all of a sudden this isn't worth the headache for us. This isn't worth the negative PR. We don't want this investigation going forward. We're going to hire somebody else. So it's messy, but I'll say this. The Oilers should have known that this could be messy. If insiders and other people in the hockey world know it's going to get to this point, then you as another NHL team should also have known that it could get to this point.
Do you think there's enough smoke here that there is fire? Do you think there's enough weird stuff? Usually when you're starting to talk about this stuff, there's some legitimacy behind the scenes. Do you feel like there's fire here in the background and that this will quiet down?
So here's kind of what I know is that he has met with Daryl Cates, and Daryl Cates likes him and wants him hired. He met with Stan Bowman and Jeff Jackson, and they liked him enough. And I think they had a bit of a nudge from ownership that they said, Kate, we're on board if the players are on board. And I believe there was anywhere from 4 to 6 Oilers who had a Zoom call with Mike Babcock over the last 10 days. And I believe that those players in that Zoom call ended up convinced that Mike Babcock was the right coach for them, and they signed off on all this. So that's the other part of this that's weird, is there's a part of me that goes, well, is the NHLPA really going to block this if the Oilers players themselves are saying, we're on board? The flip side is if something really bad happened in Columbus, the PA also owes it to those players to make sure someone who may have acted in an abusive fashion in a position of power doesn't get another job. So that's just where this confusion kind of sets in, is the Oilers might want it, but the NHLPA and the NHL might just say hey, if what happens in Columbus comes to light, it looks terrible for everyone, and we're just avoiding this situation and not letting him work.
The other thing too, it's not like you jump on a Zoom call and say, all right, Babcock, tell us all your deepest, darkest secrets here, air them out to these 6 players right now. Like, you could talk hockey, talk strategy, have a pleasant cup of coffee or whatever you're doing. Doesn't mean that the players may not know what went down, right? And this might come to light for them as well and be like, oh, now that I know that, maybe I'm not cool with this moving forward. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Anything on, free agency is a couple of weeks away yet, but any early things going on with free agency? Any players kind of standing out that could be, I know they're not supposed to be talking and I'm sure they aren't, but any early thoughts on where someone could be going or moving?
I think what we're seeing here is like Alex Tuck is the free agent and Bobby McMahon is probably number 2 on the board. And then it's a really steep drop off to the rest of the class. Like, it is a bad year for free agents. Michael McCarron scored 8 goals in the regular season last year and just got a $20 million contract from the Minnesota Wild. Like, that's what we're dealing with in free agency. So I think what we're going to see is a lot of teams shift to the trade market. And, Dylan Larkin's name is out there. He's requested a trade out of Detroit. I think what you're also going to see, names like Nico Hischier, Jordan Kyrou, Robert Thomas, guys who teams traditionally wouldn't want to move. I think there's going to be a bunch of teams looking for offense who are willing to pay way above market price for these high-end forwards. And some teams might sit there and say, you know what, we just got an offer we can't refuse. We love Robert Thomas. We love Nico Hischier. But if a team's offering us 3 or 4 A-plus assets because they know they can't fix their problems in free agency, which you've been able to traditionally do in the NHL, I think the trade market this summer is what you're going to want to watch. Free agency shows on July 1st. Book a fishing trip, book a golf or a round of golf. They're not going to be fun, but the trade market throughout the summer should be electric.
Hey, that sounds refreshing. We get the odd one here or there, but it'd be fun to get a couple of blockbusters. All right. I want to talk about your golf swing in just a second, but before we do that, the Blue Jays, they can't seem to turn this around quite yet. What are the vibes out there? How are you feeling on them Blue Jays?
They're so banged up. Like, no Kirk for the last, and Kirk could be back by the weekend. That's huge. And you want Addison Barger back, and Springer was hurt, and they were missing Cease for a start. Like, the injuries piled up and really put them behind the 8 ball. They beat Philly the other night. That's a good step in the right direction. They kind of seem to be doing, though, right now, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and they're stuck in this holding pattern. But the good news for the Jays is that they should keep getting healthier, and the American League sucks. I think it's akin to what the Pacific Division was in the NHL this year. The Jays are below 500, and they're half a game or a game out of a playoff position. It's not dire. And my take throughout their early season struggles has been, I'm giving them till the end of June to be above 500 and be looking like the Blue Jays of old. If they're below 500 come Canada Day, let's start sounding some alarm bells and talking about trades. But I think this team, with how good they were last year, they've earned the right to play themselves out of this slump for the next month.
All right, fair enough. Vladdy, is he heating up a little bit too? Getting the bat going? Not quite yet.
He's not. I mean, he's still
Not
stuck
yet.
at, I think,
All right.
three home runs on the year. That's the other thing too, is we know Vladdy's too good of a hitter to not be swinging for power for a full season. He's gone a third of the year where his bat's been incredibly silent. I'm choosing to be optimistic and going, I think there's going to be a third or half of the season where he is on fire and the numbers all kind of get back to normal.
All right, man. Well, I'm hoping along with you, even though I am an A's fan. That's where I park myself in the MLB. And you attended, a professional baseball game here this week. How was that? A little bit of MLB in Vegas while you were there.
Yeah, so obviously the A's are moving to Las Vegas in 2028. They're playing out of Sacramento right now, but there's a AAA ballpark about 20 minutes from the Strip in Vegas. So this year, to kind of kick off this A's MLB Vegas partnership, the A's are calling that AAA ballpark in Vegas home for the next week. So I got a chance to go on Monday. It was an off day in the NHL, and I got a chance to watch Oakland and Milwaukee, MLB action in Vegas, and the ball was flying out of the ballpark. It was hot. The air was there was a wind blowing out to center field. So 15-14 was the final. Each team blew a 4-run lead at different points in the game, and we had 11 home runs. It was like watching one of my men's league softball games. Everything was flying out of the park. So Unreal. It was insane. It was a fun game though, and the ballpark that's being constructed on, I think it's the south side of the strip, the way I'm facing, that no one can tell I'm facing right now. The ballpark's coming along pretty nicely. Like, it's going to be a behemoth. It's in a cool part of the city. So I think MLB in Vegas is like legitimately going to work. The ballpark was full the other day.
Awesome, man. Sounds good. I don't know how I'm going to get across that line of being the Las Vegas, athletics fan or Ace fan, but I'll get there eventually. So it'll come. All right, dude. You got something big coming up here in a month's time or so. How's the golf swing working for you?
It's good. I got a little wrist thing right now that I'm nursing a bit. So I'm trying to keep my swing fresh, but not overdo it, because I know that in a month I need to be swinging potentially 2,000 times again for my ace race. But it's back at the same hole. It's on July 13th, and I'm legitimately fired up for it. It's, a good thing for charity. There's that element of it, but ego-wise, I need to get this hole in one. We're going to raise, hopefully, $10,000 is kind of my goal for Sports Central, but I need this hole in one. So 24 hours, starting on July 13th, first swing, aiming for around 6:30 in the morning, and I will go until I get it or until 24 hours expires.
Unbelievable, man. 24 hours of swinging that. Well, it won't be 24 hours. You'll get her done before that, but a lot of golf ahead of you. Good on you. I will try to get out there this year. I saw the family calendar has us home that week. So looks good that I'll be able to get to the golf course and see you in action. But thanks for joining us from Vegas, man. Have a great trip, flight home, and we'll catch you after July 1. Well, not a bad way to spend your week, hey? For Tyler in Vegas, looks like he is having a great time down there. So I got to figure out. I think I should get into that sports broadcasting next. Maybe I could, spend some time in some fun locations as well. Anyways, folks, thanks for hanging out this week. It's a big one out there. Lots going on. Again, if you have made it this far down the show, we do have a little nugget here for you. If you want futures updates, so just 3 times a day, what's canola doing, what's wheat doing, we can set you up. You'll receive those automatically. Just have to email me, Ryan@whatthefuturespodcast.ca, and say, Ryan, I want in on that text list. We still have some space to add some more farms to that. I just email you back and say, this is what it looks like. What do you think? Everyone says looks great. Sign me up. So there you go. If you found this episode useful, tell a friend, tell a neighbor. That's how we grow this thing. So certainly appreciate it. Prices could change. Strategy may change as well by the time the recording goes out. Of course, seek the advice of a professional out there. For the What the Futures podcast, my name is Ryan. Have a great weekend. And I'm out of here.